months, and today was almost the first day that I got X'd out. Got it on my sixth guess though. I don't know if you guys know what that means, but
Don't you have five? Is there like, I thought there's five.
there's six guesses.
Oh, so that was your
Yeah.
last one.
So
Yeah, so today, like,
when you're
literally,
playing,
so I was up super early. Like, I was literally late going to the gym because I was playing Wordle, and I could not figure it out, so I just left it. I'm like, I'll do it when I get home. I got home, and I played for another 30, 40 minutes, and I finally got it, I think, right before you got on, Clay. So,
dude, how do you have the patience to wait? Like I would get all six plays. Like I wouldn't be able to resist doing it in like 3 minutes or 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Like
well,
you're
yeah.
patient.
Yeah, so, like, a lot of the time, it literally just takes a couple minutes, but there's some days the word is so not normal, it takes forever. And I really didn't want to like lose or whatever. So I kept going today, but man, it was terrible. The game is so addicting. Like literally, I haven't missed a day since I
Like,
started.
so what word do you start with? It's like usually something that has like five or not five, sorry, like three vowels in it or something.
Let me see if I can pull it up for you guys.
Right. Cause you're like trying to get a couple of vowels in there.
So look, the second word I used was chode.
You got the O.
I couldn't think of any other word, so
You got
chode.
the O.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
So look, the word today, epoxy.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah, it is a
Yeah,
tough one.
so I normally there's a few words I normally start with, like you said, if you can do a lot of vowels or just words or letters that are used commonly, that's what I do. So I really try to get it in four or less. That's like the goal. But yeah, there's like a tiny bit of luck mixed with obviously like skill or whatever. But dude, it's so fun.
Nice.
It looks fun. Me and sorry, I didn't realize I'm not even talking to my mic. Me and Dominica played for a long time Words with Friends with my grandma actually when we'd pass around the words, not pass it
nice.
around the same way Wordle is, but we'd all like compete with it. And it's a quiet atmosphere in the Scrabble game these days in Words with Friends. It's like it feels like everybody who was playing Words with Friends is now playing Wordle, and so there's like two people now on Words with Friends. Anyway, that's Dominica and my grandma have been doing that apparently, and
Nice.
I have not joined the Wordle train. For the exact reason that you're talking about, actually, is I just feel like it's gonna take over my life. I have to be careful with new games,
Oh yeah, it's especially the times where it's like today, where it's not a normal word.
Yeah. So. Well, epoxy, that's tough too. I always forget that it's an E. I always think it is epoxy, so I would have been like, what is this fake word that you're making up, Wordle?
Yeah. Oh, Juice, did you like all the artwork I sent yesterday?
I meant to respond. I'm sorry I didn't. I did see it.
I know I was so offended.
You had me laughing. I showed Summer all the pictures too.
For those of you listening,
I actually crashed out really early on the couch yesterday. So like my phone was in the room charging and I just fell asleep super early.
Nice.
On the couch.
Clay, do you want to see the artwork?
Yeah, well, so I was about to say, for those of you listening, I actually did see it because I logged on real late last night to
Oh, you did see it?
Yeah, because Jake has been kind enough to share his Canva with me, and so I went on last night. So I went on. I was like 1:00 in the morning last night, and I went on to do something. I was working on some TVT promo stuff, and I saw the last recent image that Jake had done, and it was of is two paramedics or like two like firefighters or something opening up, like it looked like jaws of life on a car or something like that, and like it's got Andrew's face and Jake's face, like normal pictures, them smiling like cheese and big like hard, like just like pictures like staring at the camera. Like
I'm trying to figure out what picture he took my face out of.
I'm not telling. Clay, do you want to?
I think it was from Pismo.
Yeah, that's
for
it.
some reason.
Oh no, that's not it. Oh, you've got a bunch of them.
Oh, dude, the kid keeps going.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's amazing. Nice. The little truck. You guys put an ambulance and a fire truck. Oh my, what is that one?
That's San Diego Fire Department's rescue copter.
Oh my god, you guys fucking jumping out of a car. Oh my god, dude, there's so many. Oh, that's amazing. Okay, so it's super funny. I wish I had, because that's the one I saw. So.
Oh wait, Clay, you're really hard to hear, by the way.
Oh, am I hard to hear? Really? Oh,
yeah.
I don't. Not they shouldn't be. It's just maybe it's for you guys. Here, I'll turn you guys up.
Oh, that's better.
Is that better? Yeah. So everyone else should
too
be able to
loud.
hear. Too loud for you?
Yep.
It's like my
How's
ears
that?
just
A little bit better.
unpopped. Or
Sorry. Is that better for you guys? I
quiet
blasted it.
again. For me,
Yep.
at least, it's quiet.
Oh, quiet again?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to split the diff. Split the difference. How's that? Yeah? Still quiet?
Still
Very-
quiet. Yeah.
It's quiet, yeah. AJ, but you
now,
you
how about
like the artwork though, at least, right?
I mean, it's great. Yeah.
Okay, that's all I care about. I was like, he doesn't have to respond as long as he laughed or liked it. Then that's all I care about.
I did both.
Which
So-
one was your favorite?
I think they all got me. I
Dude, I don't know.
I
why
can't
this
pick a
one-
favorite. They're all good.
The helicopter.
I'm just trying to think of
That's
what
great.
picture my face came out of. I feel like it was from Pismo a long time ago.
Do you want me to show you?
Yes. Am I right?
Give me a second, and we'll see. It is. Oh, okay. You and King Rich,
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice. In Nepal.
Nepal. Yeah.
King Rich.
Awesome.
Is that That's not Everest behind you, is it?
No, that's Annapurna.
Oh, okay. I feel like I heard about that watching like some documentary. That name sounds familiar, at least.
Yeah. Have you seen was it 14 Peaks?
Mm.
I think that sounds super familiar, like
The
on Netflix
Nepalese
or
guy?
Prime or something like that.
Yeah, so there's two. I think it was on Netflix. There's two of them that came out. There's one
Yeah.
that was 14 Peaks.
An alpinist.
That was great
The
too.
Alpinist. Yeah, that's the other one I was
Yeah.
thinking of. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Evelyn and I watched all those. They're super good. And then also the one with what are the most famous climbers' name is Alex something, I think, climbing a half dome or free
Oh.
climbing half dome,
Free solo.
Yeah.
a free solo, or wait, not half dome, El Cap, I think it is.
It did Capitan. Yeah,
Yeah, dude, that so to
crazy,
me-
dude. So crazy.
Yeah.
So I used to think out of every extreme thing you can do, right? I came to my own personal conclusion out of especially extreme sports that big wave surfing was the craziest. Like,
It's definitely
you
one
mess
of
up
them.
once, the highest risk of death. So that was my opinion.
Absolutely.
And that includes snowboarding, motocross, everything you can think of that's pretty like somewhat dangerous. And then when I saw that, I'm like, nothing even compares to.
Yeah.
Do they call it free climbing? Is that the right term?
Free soloing.
Free
free solo.
soloing. Yeah.
That is insanity because it's like you can't mess up even one time.
Yep.
Mhm.
Can you imagine
Like,
that presence
I don't know
of
why I
mind,
couldn't
though?
get that out of my head.
Can you imagine
How crazy that is.
like that
And
the clarity of presence of mind, like knowing that literally like one little movement, like you must be like fucking one with God at that moment. You know what I mean? Because you're
Yeah.
gonna be if you make a mistake.
Clay, I can barely hear you. AJ,
Yeah,
can you hear
You
me?
You're
guys
really
can
quiet
barely
again.
hear me. I'm blasted. I've turned up so. Oh, is it buzzing weird?
No.
I don't hear a buzz. It's just
How about
it's
now?
really hard.
Same thing.
Now you're too loud.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's something going on. Check one. Better,
Super
Better,
loud.
but really loud.
dude. What the? Okay. All right. How about now,
Loud.
But better.
dude? What is happening? Now, check one. Check two.
I would
It-
say that's better, but loud.
It's not changing for me.
Dude, I'm changing my settings over here.
That's a little better.
dramatically.
That's good right there.
Just leave it there.
Yeah, that's better.
All right. Yeah, I'm changing my settings over here dramatically, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, interesting.
It's like my
Yeah.
coffee mug.
Coffee makes
Me-
me twerk.
Prove it.
Yes.
Prove it.
Yeah, prove
Wolf
it, dude.
tickets.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, he's getting up, listeners. There it is.
Yes.
Oh yeah, bounce
Oh,
that
dang,
ass,
dude.
bounce, biggity bounce, bounce, dude. Summer's a lucky lady. She's got a.
I was told to keep your legs straight and move your heels up and down like that. That's that's one of the
You were
moves.
told. I love that means
Oh
okay.
my
If you were
God.
told, that means you were doing it beforehand
Yeah,
and doing it wrong. That means he was doing it and someone corrected. That's pretty funny.
that's amazing. Oh my god,
Dang, dude.
that's great.
You guys literally made me drop my headphones off my head. Jeez.
Oops. Yeah, dude,
Oh.
I'm loving that hat though.
Yeah, thanks. Me too.
Yeah,
Just
I
I
like
had the little morning dew.
Anything that represents Oakland. Wait, what was that, Clay?
I wanted to mention you guys were talking about the picture the pictures that you've been sending, that Jake, you've been sending Andrew of, you know, your guys' face cut out over the people doing, you know, medic work or service or whatever. And so last night I was saying, you know, I got on, I was doing my other work, and I saw that image there, and like my first instinct was, I was like, I almost like, just for shits and gigs, got like a picture of two like graduating students and cut our faces out and put them on just to be a dick, just to troll you. If I'd known that you were sending a bunch, I would have.
Dude, I almost, so I thought about also using your head too, Clay.
Yeah.
And like somehow trying to convince you to do that instead of what you're going to be doing, but then I'm like, no, he already knows what he wants to do. So
yeah.
I'm not gonna mess with him. But I thought about it, so there would have been 3 faces on all the all the little pictures I made on Canva.
Hey, I think some first responders could use a physical therapist on.
Oh,
that's the dumbest thing I've ever said.
Dude, no, that's okay. Like, so many people, mainly in fire, not as much with like just EMS, but more like the fire side. So many people get injured. Like, I don't know if people can make it throughout their career where they don't at least get hurt for a little while and have to go on light duty and then have to go see a physical therapist. Like, while I was with the fire department, which was shorter than, you know, a lot of people who spent 30 years there, I had to go see, I think I saw physical therapists on not three separate occasions, 3 different injuries.
Woo.
Yeah.
Jeez,
and they were
dude.
all, here's the one thing, this has nothing to do with physical therapists. This has to do with the system. So just hear me out here. It was like abhorrent how bad it was going there, because again, nothing to do with the physical therapist, but at the practices they were at, there's 10 patients they're seeing at one time.
Sure.
And I would see the physical therapist, who is very knowledgeable every time. I would see them for maybe a minute, and then they'd move on, maybe a minute, I'm not even kidding. Then the physical therapist assistant would come, and literally, like, especially with my back injury, one of the only things I would do, she would come over, she would give me a band, and I would do a hamstring stretch, and she would leave in about a minute or so. It's not like I need to sit there and be like babied, but it's like, dude, come on. Like that's ridiculous. So like, I got personally 0 benefit out of going, which had nothing to do with the physical therapist, but the system they were working in, which isn't their fault. Because to me, physical therapists are like ones that really understand, especially, I don't know, anything related to sports or like tactical fitness or any of that, which almost all of them do, are absolutely amazing. Like, physical therapist, I think, is one of the go-to places if you get injured, where you should go if if it's within your means for help. I think way too many people go somewhere like the chiropractor and things like that, when the physical therapist, in my opinion, should be one of the first places you go when you get to a point where your injury or whatever it is isn't getting better and you're not sure where to go. Physical therapist, to me, supersedes 99% of physicians, supersedes most personal trainers, 99% of them, supersedes chiropractors, any of that stuff. To me, PTs are the best. So, just my opinion, though.
Yeah, I feel that. When I brought it up, I actually meant, or when I said like connecting to fire, I was imagining like a physical therapist like responding to like fire, or like a physical therapist, like somebody's got a bone sticking out of their leg, and a physical therapist, okay, you don't want to gently move that knee up. No, you don't want to gently move that knee up when the femur is sticking out.
Maybe we could use physical therapists. Some people do get a little crazy on calls, so maybe we could use that little gentleness from time to time.
How often, just you saying this made me think about, how did you guys often get people, I mean, in your experience, do you guys often get people who are just like hypochondriacs in this day and age, where people are like freaking out more often than not?
Dude.
Huh?
Yes. So it depends on the shift, but I would say for every 10 calls you go on, I would say, depending on the day, anywhere from 7 to 9 of those calls don't really require an ambulance, a fire engine, or like advanced life support care. And some of those include people that just think they're dying or sick when there's nothing wrong with them, or just as common as that is people calling because the emergency room is like their primary means of seeing a physician. They don't go to a normal doctor. So we would get calls in the middle of the night for literally it'd be a prescription refill, like take me to the
Whoa.
hospital. I need it. Yeah. So people abuse it really, really bad. Abuse the system. That's pretty common across the U.S. But I would say for sure though, some people just think they're sick when they're not. That for sure happens too. I mean, we would even get things too. Like when I worked in San Diego, some people would call 911 right by the U.S. Mexico border. They were down there, and they would request the ambulance to take him to a hospital that's farther up north in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
They'd get out of the ambulance, sometimes go into the hospital, sometimes they would just leave. So literally, they're just getting a ride farther up north. That would happen too. So
Dude, what?
yeah, dude, there's lots of stuff, all crazy stuff like that. But yeah.
And what do you call, like, wasn't there a term for somebody who like just calls an ambulance quite often, like a frequent flyer or something?
Frequent flyer. Yeah, I had definitely lots of those
Yeah.
in San Diego. So you know what, like that didn't super bother me out of all things. I didn't really care. It was more stuff in the middle of the night, like when people would call at 3 a.m. for stubbing their toe, which I've been on that call, more than once. If it's in the middle of the day and someone calls 911 for something silly, I don't really care. Like we're just cruising around, like it's fine. But the 3 a.m. calls for people like, oh, my stomach has been hurting for 4 weeks, but then I waited till 4 a.m. to call, or I stubbed my toe, so I'm going to call 911 now, or you know what, I want to get more of my medication, so I'm going to call 911 at 3 a.m. to have them take me to so just like those things or whatever, but it comes with the job. So
Makes sense.
yeah,
If it can be abused, it will be abused.
the human nature never ceases to exist no matter what career field you're in.
Yeah.
Clay, can we talk about
like that line.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Clay, can we talk about your new endeavor, which I'm like really excited for you about?
Yeah.
Well, let's hear it. So yeah, Clay, as you know, is a certified personal trainer, has been for around 4 or 5 years or so, or somewhere in that ballpark. And he is now transitioning to Clay. I will actually let you say it. I'm just really excited. I don't want to get in the way of your explanation of all this, but yeah, tell us.
Oh, it's super low key. Well, I shouldn't say it's low key. I want to be humble. I'm going back to school to pursue a doctorate in physical therapy. So I'm really excited. I have my undergrad in psychology, and I thought I was gonna go that route for when going back to school, because I kind of always had this idea, and we've talked about it on the podcast before, this idea of bringing together mental health and physical health in a way that really kind of makes more sense when rubber hits the road, and kind of just makes it a little more practical from a psychological standpoint. But I realized I spent a lot of time talking to different mental health professionals about that, and kind of the reality of it is that it doesn't really, as far as what I've seen out in the world, there's not really a career that combines those effectively. And I think part of the reason I realized was because, if you're gonna help someone as a MFT or psychologist, psychiatrist, whatever it is, your best bet is to do that. That's what you do. You're there to help people, with their life issues, their emotional issues. Yeah. And I really just I felt like as great of an idea as that was, I'd rather send people to a good therapist than be, this kind of person who brings breath. Right. So it's like basically I ended up doing the same thing that we talk about doing on this podcast all the time, which is basically saying, what are we doing and why, and how can we make it more effective? Because as right. great as this idea that I had about mental health and physical health coming together, it didn't have the same kind of impact as when I decided that I am going to pursue this physical therapy degree, mostly because from a practical standpoint, the physical therapy and the personal training are like two sides of the same freaking coin, right? Whereas we start talking about mental health and physical health, it's like they're two completely different things that have overlap, right? And then we're talking about physical therapy and personal training. Okay, well, so really what PT work for me is going to be is kind of the next step of, like you said, learning how the body works and how we can utilize physicality as a means to feel happier, healthier, more effective in our lives. And if that's my goal, I don't see a better route than physical therapy, because you know, as a trainer, we lose our folks when somebody's injured, but also as a trainer, and especially for people who train aggressively, the reality is that injury is kind of part of the journey. I mean, hopefully at a minimal level, but when you're pushing your body all the time, you know, it happens. So I'm really excited about being able to kind of be able to help people not just learn how to be more physically fit and you know, happy in their lives, but I can also, when, you know, if someone is hurt, I can help them, you know, heal, and vice versa. Is, you know, I think there's a lot of people out there who start PT, and I want to pose this question to you guys, as two people who've done PT, or significantly more PT than I have. I always feel like there's a lot of people, PT clients, who want to kind of continue with the work that they do and progress and like kind of grow from the foundational stuff that they learn in PT. And I feel like a lot of times what happens when people are in PT is there's some point along their physical therapy journey where they start to actually feel better. And at that point, the PT work seems to start having diminishing returns. And so I feel like there's a point where, as a trainer and a PT, I can more faithfully and effectively navigate that kind of break point between healing and building. So obviously, as you can tell, I'm very excited about it, and I can go on to talk about it a lot. That said, it's going to be, 4 years, because my PT, or I need to do some more undergrad prereqs, because my psychology degree doesn't have all the prereqs I need to get right into the doctorate.
Gotcha.
But the short answer, which was what I should have said at the beginning, to the whole thing, is that I will be hopefully attending Sacramento State this time next year in the doctorate program. So we'll see. We got some work to do before that, but it's my first rodeo, so
Exciting.
Dude, it's gonna be so fun to pick your brain on that stuff as you're going through school, because I've said this to you guys a bunch. When I'm learning about the human body, at least in the capacity of like fitness training or anything like that, PTs are one of the first places I go to learn. So now I like have someone I could actually ask instead of looking on Instagram or something.
Hell yeah.
So that is going to be really fun. I did have one question for you, Clay. You were talking about it in the beginning of all of that. So when you were thinking about making an impact and bridging that gap with fitness and mental health, so what you thought in your head to what actually played out, would you say that bridge was a little bit too big and it was just hard to really bring those together effectively? Did I understand that correctly?
For me, it's more of an issue of the breadth to depth conversation. For me, the combination of mental health and physical health ended up being so large in breadth that I felt like I would never have a chance to really master the depth, and really put hours in on. So that's kind of the thing with, I feel like if I were to be a therapist and MFT, so marriage and family therapist, and a personal trainer, then it's like, when I'm doing the marriage and family therapist stuff, I'm not getting any better at the training, generally speaking. When I'm doing the training stuff, I'm not, generally speaking, getting better at the MFT stuff. But as a personal trainer and a PT, those worlds absolutely, grow on each other, and the work, right? So it gives me the opportunity to be more masterful ultimately in how I approach real world situations, as opposed to, being like, oh, I can help a bunch of people, but then when it gets real serious, I got to send you to somebody who's better than me, right? I'd rather just be the person who's got the ability and the skill to help you, with your specific problem, rather than help a bunch of people with their problem, kind of.
Dude, that's so cool because it just made me think of this when you're talking about when you're a physical therapist, working with someone until like they actually start feeling better. Thinking back, I see plenty of, elderly people like in the physical therapist office, not just elderly people, all types of people.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact a lot of them work with a physical therapist, maybe start feeling better, but then that's it,
Mm-hmm.
and they just drop off, and then there's no physical fitness after that, specifically strength training. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really cool. I know you've already thought about all this, but this is just me thinking out loud now, is how you can take them through physical therapy, and now it's like, okay, let's go into more personal training from here. Let's continue strength training, because if someone goes through physical therapy for a few months and they just stop, it's like I can't see there being tons of benefit after that if they don't
Mm-hmm.
continue to at least move their body in some way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be cool. Like you can take people from start to, I don't even want to say finish. That's not even accurate.
Right.
Start to here's now their journey for hopefully the rest of their life of fitness and strength training and all that stuff. So that has to be really exciting. And I see such a strong carryover with those two things. And I have heard too, I can't obviously speak from personal experience, that a lot of physical therapists don't understand enough about movement, such
Sure.
as like back squats
Makes sense.
and
Yeah.
deadlifting, and all these compound movements that you already know
Right.
and are proficient in because of personal training. I think that's so important in that field. You already know all of that, and you already have hands-on experience. So now it's like you can bring those together. That's
Nice.
legit, dude.
I'll tell you, after having done this for a few years, I am a full believer in the fact that I think that a new profession is going to arise out of this gap between physical therapy and personal training. Because physical therapy, you need all this school and you don't really get to keep working with people in the way that you just mentioned. And personal training, anyway, like you said, I'm just really looking forward to being able to be somebody who can actually make a difference. And, don't get me wrong, I definitely feel like I'm making a difference now as a trainer. But as soon as somebody tweaks something, if I'm being a good trainer, and I am, first thing I say is, all right, we're taking it easy. You're talking to a PT, So like how I'm looking forward to it, not just from like the kind of synergistic business perspective, but also just the um, just the ability to be there, really really be there for people, you know what I mean, and part of that's going to be sending them away, but instead of sending somebody away to a PT, I'll be sending somebody away to a therapist, like a MFT, if that's going to be helpful to them, as opposed to that idea I had before, right? So yeah, I think it'll work out. Worst
And
case, I'm just going to terrorize you guys with random knowledge.
I love it. But let's be real here, dude. Like that line between you're working with a personal trainer, you're injured, which is a spectrum of things. It's not so black and white, as you know, to okay, they're injured. Do I send them away or do I keep training them? That's a very blurry line where I don't know exactly where that lies, which is to me, I don't know. I feel it's the better thing to do, to err on the side of caution.
Yep.
And to send someone away, even though it's like your ego wants to say, no, I can handle this. I know enough about pain and enough about injury to at least help them. But again, what happens if that injured person, if the personal trainer makes them worse, and now you're
Yep.
not a physical therapist? It's very blurry.
Yep.
So I would feel as a practitioner, just the confidence you'll be able to have, because it's like, oh no, I got this. Like whatever it is, I got this. Like you're injured, you're post surgery or whatever it is, I got this. So that is amazing. Have you at all thought about, maybe this is way too early to ask you, what type of clientele or demographic you want to work with? Like GP type of thing, fire departments, they always need those type of people, or do you have any idea yet?
Definitely. So what it's going to be is it's going to be, extension and growth into thoughtful movement and fitness. That's kind of the idea. The other kind of synergistic idea with the whole PT stuff is that it builds upon this brand that I'm building about thoughtful, that specifically is called thoughtful movement and fitness. Right. So, that's definitely in general, a GP in general population, generally, though what I'm hoping is that with this dual career, that I would be able to um, run my own business with the general population, but then work specifically, like naturally end up working specifically with a specific demographic. And I know that's it's kind of yes and no, right? Because I want to work with the general population, but I do have in my mind specific ideas of the people who I want to help. And it goes back to what initially sent me off on the mental health, physical health thing, is I want to work with people directly who are ready to take the steps that they need to do to feel better. And so, and that is a potentially completely open demographic in the sense that that can be anybody, right? In terms of specifics, but it also means that there's only you gotta, it's kind of trial and error, right? Because nobody really knows whether they're ready until they start going. Sometimes you can tell when somebody comes in that they're ready to go, but it's a journey, right? So one of the things that I found in my personal training career is that the kind of training that I do, it's not easy. I lower the difficulty, the physical difficulty, because the emotional and like mental difficulty is really high the way that I present this material. Because basically what I do is I say, hey, Cohen, come in, and like right from the start, I'm training people on self-regulation. I'm training people on auto-regulation so hard that people have to go through a level of being frustrated sometimes because they come in and they want their trainer just to tell them what to do, and I basically don't do that. I force them. I love that. Right? I give people guidelines. I absolutely keep them safe, and I absolutely keep them on progress, but I don't give them the answers. I say, okay, well, you can do this or this, and I have them choose. And I tell you, a lot of people don't like that, but what it does for me is it helps me sift through people who are willing to take self-responsibility in their journey. And the reality is that people fall off who aren't ready to do that. And that's good, because me as a trainer, I know that me motivating you is only going to last you so long. So you need to come in and be ready to motivate yourself, right? Yes. So that's the long answer to your question. Is basically I want to find and hold on to these clients who are ready to take the steps. And the nice thing about this dual career is, whether they're injured and ready to take the steps to get healthy, or whether they're healthy and ready to take the steps to get healthier, either way, my demographic, I have a filter to get that demographic back to me, so that's kind of the long answer.
Dude, that is, I love something you just said. I can't remember the exact words, but what you're describing to me, it reminds me of where I failed when I was a new trainer. And I'd be confident saying probably a lot of trainers where we fail as a whole is not giving people autonomy. Mm-hmm. Like I think that's a huge mistake. Like treating your client like they need you forever. Mm-hmm. And whatever their decision is, whatever their needs are, it's specific to the individual. But point being, I think for at least GP, right? We can say, no, let's give these clients autonomy. Mm-hmm. And if they want to work with us for a long time, great. If they don't, great. But let's at least give them the tools to where like they can go out and do some of these things without you, instead of having this like, oh no, I have to keep every client that I ever have working with me for 15 years. Sometimes that's the case. Sometimes it is. Sometimes. But not every human being, I would say. So I definitely failed. It's like, I just wanted to be their like go-to source for whatever it was, when I was young. But I think what you're describing, like the autonomy is definitely a underutilized tool, skill, or whatever you want to call it in this field.
My goal is to get whoever I'm working with to the point where they don't need me, right? And this is something that I discuss very openly with my regular clients, and those of my regular clients who have stayed with me will know that there's a point that I literally say to my client when I feel like this point is hit. I say, you don't need me anymore. Like I make a point to say, you do not need me anymore, because you don't need me to get you a fish. You know how to fish. Go fish. You know what I'm saying? So, and the reality is all those people who know how to fish, they want to learn how to fish better. So they're going to keep coming to me because I still know how to fish better. I'm more experienced. I'm more knowledgeable on how to fish. So we're going to learn how to catch bigger, more fun fish to catch. But, you know, you don't learn to catch the tuna when until you learn to catch the bass, right?
Dude, that was good. It's just funny thinking like you starting as a trainer versus me. I was a little bit younger, so my thought is more of like, no, I'm gonna fish for you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do, that's my mentality. Like it's just an ego thing. Like you want to have all the answers for someone. Opposed to you started a few years after I did, and it's like, no, I want to teach you how to fish, not do the fishing for you. I think that's a good mentality, not just in fitness, but I would say in life in general.
You know what it was? And we've talked about this before, but it was bartending, dude. It was Andrew. I look at you every time. It was coming back to bartending because having had bartended for so many years before, like, and again, we've talked about this on the podcast, I had a very keen sense of how I did not want to spend my energy. And that's rolling. You don't want to roll a ball up the hill. Let's get judo on people's asses and let their own momentum carry them through the movement. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to be your catalyst. I just need to be there to say, yeah, you didn't fuck it up. Good job. Winning.
Winning. Hashtag
Nice.
winning. That's right. AJ, dude, it feels like it's funny because I told Clayton this before you hopped on earlier. It feels like I haven't seen you guys in like months, but it's been like a week.
A week.
So I wrote my notes here. Like I need an AJ update. Like, there's been 10 life changes with you or something in the last week or something. But is there anything new?
Not quite. I mean, work is going pretty good right now. I've I know there's a position opening up within the next month or two, which could possibly be offered in my direction. Not 100% sure about that. I had like 3 meetings in a row with my direct manager, and we progressively got more beneficial towards me.
Nice.
I guess so. The last day is pretty much we got to a point where like a position might open up and there might be opportunity there, but I got to kind of figure out what I want for myself. And so I have a lot to think about still. But other than that, just kind of hanging around. Summer and I are doing great. We found this little local coffee depot. Which is exactly a mile away from our place. So we just do like a nice little mile walk there, grab a little coffee, and they do these like homemade, you could do like savory waffles or sweet waffles.
Stop it.
It's called the Home Depot. And so I got a ham, egg, and cheese waffle, and Summer likes a jalapeno popper one.
Stop.
And then they also do, so if you want sweet, they can do like strawberry. They got banana, Nutella, like, the whole 9 yards. Dude. I know, Jake, you like your Nutella. So.
Do you remember the Nutella snacks?
Dude, do you remember? Okay, do you remember the sweet street waffles?
Wait, were those things from Jamba?
The Jamba Juice waffles.
Oh, yeah.
Where I'd eat about 50 of them in a row.
Oh my God.
I think you literally bought 15 of them. You bought out Jamba Juice waffles. And then we got like a tub of birthday cake ice cream. And Nutella. That was just like, we kind of went at it for a whole weekend. Obviously, we weren't, calorie conscious those few days.
Dude. I like now, they're like, I try like the way I eat, I try to eat just about everything I want to, just the higher calorie stuff, just to obviously do it more in moderation. But there's certain things that I won't buy, not because I can't eat them, but I know if I buy those, I'm like Nutella, I'm gonna eat a whole jar of that. Like
it's just so easy.
There's no middle ground because I don't feel like Adeline, for example, she can have a bite of something and be satisfied. For me, with like Nutella, it's all or nothing. I'm eating 0 of it or I'm going to eat the whole jar, with certain foods, that's just how it is for me. So to me, it's not even worth it. As you know, because I would go through like a whole jar of your Nutella. I would visit you guys back in the day in the LB, but man, dude, that place that you're talking about right now sounds really bomb, and it's making I made a little protein smoothie with like cherries in here, which I thought was good. Now it seems like garbage compared to your little coffee depot or whatever you said that place is called.
So when I went, so like I said, I got the ham, egg, and cheese waffle, which was just really delicious. And then they had a coffee drink. It's seasonal, so they do change it kind of often. They just came out with their spring line, which I haven't tried yet. But anyway, so I had a mint mocha chip.
Huh.
What was it? Yeah, mint mocha chip.
Okay.
It's delicious. It was a coffee drink, homemade, fantastic.
Dude, I love, that's like one of my favorite things. Adeline and I don't get to do it anymore because of kids, but we used to love just going to coffee shops and literally just sitting and talking and drinking coffee. Like, favorite thing in the world. Now I have my coffee like really early in the morning before the kids are up and stuff, and I'm normally by myself. But to me, that is one of the best ways to interact with another human being is like you're at a coffee shop or you have coffee and you're just sitting there hanging out and drinking. Like I love coffee, not just for the taste, but the like habit of it and like the social aspect of it.
Yeah.
Coffee all day long, dude.
And because this place is parked in a little parking lot outside, it's a walk up. So there's like one tiny little metal table out there with 2 seats. That's all they have. Otherwise, people are standing around and stuff. But it's it has that small town feel to it. You know, it's like they're obviously locals. They live right down the street probably. And everybody that's walking up there is in the neighborhood, right? They have their dogs with them and stuff like that. So everybody has that. It's a very strong community vibe right outside that place. So just like you were saying, that social aspect of it, and it has that small coffee shop feel, but outside. So it's a really cool spot.
Is your area, Clayton, you can answer this too, because I know you lived there for a while. I know obviously as you go south closer to San Francisco and maybe even north closer to like Sonoma and up there, like does the traffic like right there, is it packed or do you have like room to breathe? Like at least where you live?
I would say going up north towards Sonoma, there's like a couple mile section of highway that drops down to 2 lanes. So that often gets pretty impacted and trafficy all the way up to like, say, past, what would be the next? Like up to Katati, I guess.
Okay.
Gets kind of trafficy, but I mean, it depends on the time of day you're driving and stuff like that.
Does the Richmond Bridge, does that get just jam-packed every day?
Oddly, going into Santa Fe gets really backed up, but going out towards Richmond, I don't notice too much traffic that way.
Huh. I would think it would be the other way around if I would just guess. That's very interesting.
It'd be like sometimes I go to my parents' house in Pleasanton.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Right. So I'm driving obviously I'd go into Richmond driving that way towards Pleasanton, and it'd be like a Saturday, maybe like, let's call it 12 p.m. And the whole side going into Santa Fe is just completely backed up.
What?
Like on a random Saturday in the afternoon. Like, where's everyone going?
Into San Rafael?
Exactly. Yeah.
Huh. Not going into Richmond toward the East Bay?
Not going into Richmond. So that gets trafficy, obviously, like Monday through Friday work days and commutes and stuff like that. But yeah, that's just like the Saturday, Sunday weekend thing really sticks out to me for some reason. I don't know how it gets backed up. It's a toll, but I mean, most people have fast track. Huh. But it's just like a random afternoon on the weekend. It's all backed up.
I really wonder, since I haven't lived in the Bay for, let's see, oh my gosh, is that 12 years or so, something like that? Because I mean, the traffic was, bad when I left. I've heard, I guess, from mom and stepdad that it's horrendous, or at least like pre-pandemic. I don't know how it is now, but that is really bad. And it just reminds me of LA, how literally does not matter. It can be 3. I remember I was driving, you guys actually, we were like in the city of LA driving back to Long Beach, and it's like 3 or 4 in the morning, bumper to bumper traffic for, parts of, I can't remember what freeway, it's probably 405 or something like that. But it's just, it's insane, the traffic there, no matter what time of the day. That's what I'm really excited to, when we move next month. I cannot wait, since we're moving, to an area that's like not as populated as the Bay or where we are now. Like, there's not going to be that much traffic, because that's like one of my biggest pet peeves that I would think by 31 years old, where I would just be able to like not be annoyed by, but every single time I'm stuck in traffic, it's like the same thing. Yeah.
And like in the East Bay too, I mean, the problem is, it's like, so when you get into Pleasanton and you start going towards Livermore, towards Tracy, there has been so much open land there that they've continuously just been building and building building on.
Right.
So they're not keeping up with the infrastructure of the freeways. Like, so, they finally added a new lane, but they also added like 20,000 new homes.
Right.
So you're bringing more people in than you are expanding the roads anyways. So it's just like this ongoing cycle of the roads are getting bigger, but the traffic hasn't gotten better because so many more people are living there now.
Yeah.
What about like Oakland? Is it crazy around there, like 580 traffic?
Oakland, I mean, it's
always.
kind of hasn't really changed too much.
Yeah.
It's been the same. Yeah, it's
Depends on the
busy,
day.
but I'd say like Emeryville. There's a section right before you get on the Bay Bridge in Emeryville that no matter what time of day, you're always going to hit some amount of traffic there.
Really, it used to not be. It was not that bad when I was making that drive, and that was what 4 years ago now. I mean, it was bad when it was traffic, obviously, but like there were pockets. You know what I mean? There's not even pockets anymore where you can get through that spot.
I mean, you can kind of. There's like one specific lane that I call my lucky lane.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm the only one who knows about it, but I'm definitely not.
AJ's lucky lane.
It kind of cruises through the traffic, and like people are all going to the left-hand side to get on a new freeway, and people don't know how to merge, and that's what creates a lot of traffic too. So no matter what, there's a small section in Emeryville. It could be a large section too, but no matter what, you'll hit some sort of traffic.
Jake, I feel like you just triggered Andrew, and Andrew, I feel like you just triggered me. It was like a three-way. Like Jake brought up traffic, and Andrew's just like, and then Andrew brings up the part of traffic, and I'm just like, I didn't even know it was coming. I've had the deep side too.
Dude, I always make fun of people for getting triggered so easy, but it's like I get triggered too about stuff like that, like traffic and. Oh my gosh. But AJ, when you're talking about your secret lane, I just pictured, like the diamond lane on the freeway?
Yeah.
I just picture a little diamond and it says AJ in the middle. And so basically no one else is allowed on it.
It's got my little face in it.
Little face. I love it. Well, guys, it's I'm the topic for today, like for fitness, I want to talk about it. I don't want to not sound negative about it, especially after we're talking about all this positive stuff. Like Clayton, you going to school, and AJ stuff coming up with your future. And I'm looking at it, and it's like, how do I talk about this without sounding like negative Nancy, which sometimes I do a little bit on the show too much. So, but it's still so important. Did you guys get a chance to look over the notes? I know I sent them super late today, but
yeah. So I mean, I didn't actually get a chance to really look through them, but I like the topic, and I feel like if we just talk about it with a slightly different tone,
just talk.
Then if we lilt at the end, like we're asking a question, or maybe we're like a valley girl, then it'll make it sound a little less negative.
It's like, how do I not come off condescending or patronizing when I'm talking about this topic? I don't know.
Yeah,
so
we'll try.
Let's roll with what you said and just talk about it and maybe laugh. Can we do that?
Will
that count as not being negative?
I do think I think what will help with this too is the preface of the recognition that we learned about these things like firsthand, and like that this is a process of many years of learning. I guess we haven't even said the topic yet, have we?
No, we haven't. You want to say it?
Sure. We're talking about gym etiquette today, and no, not our buddy Jim. Okay, smart asses. We're talking about the etiquette that you should be adhering to when you're in a studio gym situation, especially if you're talking about someplace like a 24-hour fitness where there's a bunch of people on a limited amount of machines.
Yep. And it is sad to say the reason I'm talking about this is lately I've noticed these things so much at the gym that I train at. And I mean, this isn't specific to the gym I go to. This is probably everywhere. So much to the point where I was like, this needs to be included in an episode. Now, just this morning when I was training, let me give you an example. I'm going to do my best just to tell you and not whine about it. Okay. So this is what happened. So early Saturday morning, like I normally get there right when it opens, and it's not normally super packed, at least Saturday around 6 a.m. or something, it's a breath of fresh air when there's like enough room to walk around and not run into someone, right? So here's the first thing that got me. So I'm doing trap bar deadlifts. By the way, I'm obsessed with those now.
Nice.
I don't know if you guys have done those. It's one of my new favorite movements. Anyways, so I turn and someone's using the sled behind me, and there's one sled in the gym and a little track for the sled, which is where the material allows the sled to be pushed back and forth because it couldn't be pushed on the rubber, obviously. Anyways, though, so someone's over there. I'm like, okay, this is perfect. I'm going to finish my deadlifts. Probably by the time he finishes that, then I'm going to go on the sled. And so I look over, and this guy that was using the sled, he's now on the leg press, which is, I don't know, 20, 30 feet away. And I thought he was just going back doing a superset, which normally kind of bugs me. But when it's not busy, it doesn't matter. Like, use multiple pieces of equipment. There's not tons of people here. It's fine. And I just assumed that because I looked on the sled and there's like 5 or 6 plates on the sled and then one just sitting off to the side. And then I keep looking over. I have like 1 or 2 more sets to go, and he's still not back on the sled. I'm like, that's kind of a long superset. And then like, toward my last set, I'm like, this dude is literally leaving 5 or 6 plates out for someone else to clean up.
Oh,
and
no.
So I was like, okay. So I walked over there, and then, I started using the sled, and I had that little inner battle. Like, do I go and say something? And here's the thing, that was probably the right thing to do and just not be rude about it. But at the same time, I wasn't ready this morning at that time of the morning to deal with someone being defensive and angry for me politely calling them out for not putting their weights away. And to me, that wasn't worth it at that moment. I was just like, I will just deal with it and clean it up, when I'm done.
Yeah.
But I thought about that as like, this has to be talked about because, and then Adeline, I told her about it this morning. She, maybe people just really, I don't know, aren't paying attention and it's like, I think after you've been to the gym for long enough, and I've seen that same guy a lot, to me, it's not being naive. It's like you're choosing to leave that there. Now I understand maybe yeah, exactly. Entitlement. I understand if a beginner legitimately understand. I understand if they don't really know all the random etiquettes or whatever in the gym, but just leaving all these plates there for someone else to clean up, that is almost as bad as the person that doesn't put their shopping cart back in the little thing in parking lots.
I'd say it's worse. I'd say it's way worse.
Me through the
drives me nuts too.
Yeah.
Like, especially almost every parking lot has a slot to do it in the parking lot. Like, you don't even have to walk to the front of the store to put it back. You have to walk probably 20 feet in one direction to put it in there. It's the same thing in the gym, and it just drives me nuts. So
here's the thing, though. If you're talking like, and I'm not to pick apart the metaphor, but when you're talking about carts, like anybody can move those carts back, right? Anybody can collect those carts. Yeah, and it's a pain in the ass, but any physically anybody can do that. Not everybody can pick up those weights and move them. You're assuming that the person who's going to have to be responsible for that is going to have the ability to do that. And if an employee hasn't had a chance to get to it yet, then it's going to be the next person who's using that machine. And what if the next person's a 75-year-old woman who's just getting into resistance work for the first time? She's not going to use that machine. And a sled is a real good option for somebody in that demographic. It's a great option for anybody, but like leaving your weights out. Honestly, what it is this guy thinks he's awesome and thinks his time's more important than the people who work there and the other patrons. It's that simple,
Wow.
Yep. It always killed me when somebody left all the plates on like a leg press, and like they're doing, 5 or 6 plates on each side, but they just leave them all up there. It's like, come on. Like now I'm spending 10 minutes just like de-racking your weights here.
Right.
And the one problem, and we'll talk about this. I have it somewhere in the notes. Obviously re-racking your weights. We'll get to that in a sec. The one issue with that, like at my gym, so sometimes people will re-rack, but they'll put it in the improper place. But sometimes toward later in the morning or even end of the day, it's not that person's fault because people literally have rearranged everything so much for them to actually put it in the right spot. They would have to move around 10 pieces of equipment to get it in the right spot. Like all the 45s are in the spots where the 10s are supposed to go and vice versa. Or the dumbbells, the 100s are in the 90s are in the 70s, and whatever it is, it's like, because you get to a point, it's like, okay, I don't want to make this problem worse, but I can't spend 30 minutes between every set cleaning up someone else's, disaster that they've made. You know what I mean? So that's the one problem, but we'll get to that in a sec. The first point that I wrote down, which somewhat goes hand in hand with the little story I shared, was when it's busy, don't use multiple pieces of equipment for a superset. So superset essentially is you do one movement or exercise, and then immediately from there, or with a short rest in between, you go immediately into another movement or exercise. Now, the problem is, especially when the gym is busy and there's people waiting for pieces of equipment that are just standing around and you're going from machine to machine, you're not allowing other people to exercise. So I know it's tough, people because especially people that, enjoy supersets. But I would say it's fair to say if the gym is busy, let's take consideration of other people, especially that there's people waiting, and just use one piece of equipment. I've seen that a lot lately, actually. Someone we doing their lat pull down, they have dumbbells here, and then there's a machine over here that they reserved, and they're just doing supersets. Have you guys seen that a lot?
Oh yeah. And I would even throw onto that, if like absolutely you're like, oh no, Jake, I'm gonna use more than one piece of equipment. Like if you are set on that, don't use more than two. You don't need more than two for a superset. You know what I'm saying? And if you want to string 3 things together, get creative and throw a bodyweight exercise in there and stop using all the freaking equipment.
Yeah.
I'm not bitter.
I think it's important to like see how many options are there too. So like if you're going to do like a drop set with dumbbells and say you need like the 45s and the 35s, some gyms will have 3 or 4 sets of those dumbbells. If there's only one left, of 45s and 35s left, maybe don't take both of those at the same time.
Right.
But if there's an extra set that you see on that rack where somebody else would be available to use that, then, it might be a good idea to start doing that.
Yep. Yeah. Agreed. And the next one, I've seen this a lot lately too, specifically a couple weeks ago, and I'll share a very short story.
Oh my
but when it's busy, don't leave your personal stuff on equipment to reserve it. Yeah. Now, again, this almost always has to do with the amount of people that are actually in the gym. If it's you and 10 other people and it's a huge gym, it's not as big of a deal. I would still, proceed cautiously though, because someone else might want to use that. But what I saw specifically a couple weeks ago, so our gym was super packed, and it's weird. Like I thought a few months after the new year, I thought the gym that I train, I thought like, as usual, there'd be less people because the whole New Year's resolution thing kind of goes away. Our gym has just been getting more and more packed, and this is just about whenever I go. So normally I'm there, if I go by myself, I'm there at 5:30, 5:45, something like that. If I go with Adeline, we go after Elsie goes to school. So we're at the gym by 8:30, 8:45. So just about any time I go now, it's packed. But anyways, though, so I went on I don't even remember what day it was, but anyways, there's tons of people in the gym, and I'm looking for preferably an incline bench to use. They're all taken up, and then I'm looking for a flat bench to use. I think I wanted to do like incline rows or something like that. And this person was using a bench to do, I don't know, something where you didn't really need a bench to do. But I was like, whatever, that's fine. She put her stuff down on that bench and then left. I assumed she was just going to the bathroom real quick and, coming back and finishing her set. So I was like, okay, whatever. But I'm standing there for, like 10 minutes waiting for something to open up, and she's still not there. And then, I eventually moved on and was like, you know what, I can't do this movement now. I've been waiting here forever. I'll just do something else. And I noticed she didn't come back for, we'll say 30 to 45 minutes. And she put her gym bag and like a sweatshirt there just to reserve it, so when she wants to come back to it later on, she can. So I know she came back, like I saw her on like other machines or using other equipment and came back. Guys, that's just so incredibly selfish. Like, can we be real for a second? Leaving your stuff there for 30 minutes or 45 minutes, and so no one else can use it, so you're reserving equipment for the whole time, even though it's packed. I've seen that lately. That's definitely a big one. I don't know if you guys have seen that too.
Yeah. I feel like there's a running theme of just like courtesy that would really kind of nullify most of the things on that, certainly things you've said already, and most of the things that are going to be on this list, like just generally, if you're trying to be conscientious and courteous to the other people around you, you're not going to have a problem with any of these issues.
Yeah. That's it. Just be courteous, just a lot of it's common sense stuff, or at least you would think it would be.
Right. But, it's funny how many people have problems being people, Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
The next one, to me personally, this one is less of a big deal than all the ones we've talked about, but still courtesy, thinking about courtesy regardless, and that's wiping down your sweat. So like, I'm not a germaphobe or any of that. Like, I don't prefer to lay down in someone's sweat, but that's just one of those things. So, if you don't have a towel, gyms normally have towels or something to wipe your stuff down. So make sure you wipe your stuff down. It was kind of funny the other day. I finished on, I don't know if it was the bench or what it was, and I was going to get we have these little like sanitizer wipes at the gym. And I was going to get that to wipe it down. Some guy was waiting for me. And he's like, oh, no, it's fine. We all sweat. I don't really care. I was like, all right, dude. He's like, okay, fair enough. But wipe down your stuff? Do you guys see just like sweat all over stuff when you're at the gym? Is that something you guys see too?
Especially the bench, I feel like there's a couple of odd ones too that I've actually experienced in my lifetime. So like when you do like arm extensions and you're using that rope for your triceps, I know there's a popular ab exercise that people like to do where you kind of put the rope behind your neck, and then you use your abs to kind of thrust yourself forward. But they're like getting sweat all over the back of their neck on this rope, and they're just not really thinking about it, and then they leave it for someone else to use, and you touch it, it's a little damp. It's kind of gross,
like salty.
I've never even thought about that. I see people doing that. I see people doing that movement sometimes. I've never thought about that. And it's a funny movement to watch, because I always get a kick out of when anyone is using all of the weight on a machine. Typically, they're not doing the movement in the best way possible. I'll just leave it at that. And I see that with ab workouts a lot, where they're using cables. They load up all, 200 and, I don't know, 25 pounds, whatever is on the machine, and they'll do that. But I never really realized like all the sweat that can be on the handles right there.
It's just, it's pretty much wrapping around their entire neck. And there's been a couple times I go up there and I'm going to do my tricep extensions, and then it's just a little damp on the rope.
Extra grip, right?
Extra, I guess. Yeah.
There you go. There you go. The next one, this one's very important for multiple reasons, and that is re-racking your weights. I probably see that said more than anything else when it comes to people that have fitness accounts on social media, when they're, kind of complaining about people's behavior in the gym. This is the one that I hear about the most. And here's the reason why it's frustrating. If I were to use whatever weight and then go put it back in the incorrect spot, it's not necessarily a huge deal when I do it. The problem is the domino effect that you're creating after. So meaning I put my weights here, and because they're in the incorrect spot, the next person that wants to put their weights back in their correct spot, my weights might be blocking them, so they put it somewhere else. And it's just this domino effect. Then weights are everywhere. Not only is this very inconvenient for people training, I think we have to consider people working there too. They're not our slaves. They're not our servants. They're not our babysitters. They're not our mom. It's like, because they have to take care of that probably by the end of their shift. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do it throughout their shift, cleaning up people's weights and putting them in the appropriate spot. So just realize it's really important, even if it doesn't feel like it at the time, to re-rack your weights in the appropriate spot. Not just because at that moment it could cause issues, it's because of the domino effect after. And this, anyone that's been in the gym more than for 30 seconds has experienced weights in the in the incorrect spot. So make sure to re-rack your weights, and don't be like the gentleman that I was talking about this morning that I saw at the gym. Don't be like I was going to give him a nickname, but I don't want to accidentally call it someone's real name here. But yes.
Here's a novel idea too. If you're somebody who's in the gym and you notice all this stuff going on around you now, especially after listening to us talk about it, you proactively get up and go rearrange those weights so that they're in the right order. Here's why I'm going to say that. One, you're just like, you being a good person, because the employee is not going to have to come do it for the 30th time that hour. And secondly, it gives you the opportunity to practice a different behavior that you wouldn't normally practice with a variety of weights, which really faithfully recreates real life situations where if you're going to have to be out in the world moving stuff, probably that's likely how you're going to have to move them, is by picking them up on a rack like that and then putting them on another rack like that. So there's value to that. So add it to your workout. If you're like us and you feel a drive to help improve these things, even if you are not especially if you're not one of the people contributing to the problem.
It's like you're getting extra sets of like farmers walks in there.
Exactly.
So there you go. You're getting some workout time in there. So that's a great idea. I like it. The next one, I almost never see people do this. Just like Clayton said, this is another courtesy thing. This, to me, should be the new normal in a gym setting when it's crowded again. And that is, allow people to work in with you if it is busy.
Totally.
So basically, if you're using a piece of equipment or a machine and there's someone standing there kind of awkwardly 5 feet from you, trying not to look at you, but being polite, waiting for you to finish, and you see that everything else is taken up, allow them to work in with you. It's very simple. Do your set. Most people are going to rest a minute or two in between sets or so anyway. Let that person work in with you. That's something I don't understand why more people don't offer. It doesn't even, most of the time, doesn't even take away from what you're doing because, like I said, you're resting in between sets. If anything, it could help you be like, okay, as soon as they're done, I'm going to go. It'll be like your little timer or your little cue. I almost never see this anymore. Of course, I do try to offer this if I see someone standing next to me kind of awkwardly waiting for something. I did notice when we were younger, like AJ, when we would train together, I felt like this was more commonplace back then. So I don't know if stuff has changed or if it's literally just the setting that I'm in now, but it does feel like this is the one thing that used to be better than it is now. And again, I can't speak for every single gym. That would be insane. So this is just my personal experience, but I feel like that used to be very normal. Like AJ, we would train and you'd see people work in with each other, or like someone's benching and then you go and spot them and then you spot the other one and kind of flip flop. So
yeah, all the time at Club Sport, that happened pretty much on any machine. And I think it's important to add too, like just a little communication goes a long way. I know people don't want to communicate with other people, but if you see somebody that's standing close to you, you let them know. Be like, hey, I just got on the machine. I have, I'm going to do 3 sets or I'm going to do 4 sets, whatever it might be. And at that point, maybe you can talk to them about working in with you. Or if you let them know, like, hey, I've got like 1 set left and then I'll be done. Like they don't mind waiting the extra couple minutes as long as you just said something, and we're on the same page. Communication.
No, it's funny too. And I don't know if this is because the people are just frustrated with me or because they're being honest, but every once in a while when every piece of equipment's taken up at the gym, which has been happening a lot lately, I'll go up to whatever, machine it is. It seems to happen on like lat pull downs a lot. And I'll say, oh, sir or ma'am, how many more sets do you have? And it's funny because I've seen them on that equipment already for, 10 minutes or so, 5 minutes, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And they always have at least 5 sets left. And I always think that's funny because most people that train using machines normally aren't doing 5 sets or more of stuff most of the time. I know there's always, exceptions to that. Normally when you're getting past 4 sets, that's normally when you're doing more of like low repetition squats or deadlifts or things of that nature. That's when the sets might be a little higher. But when do you see people doing 8 or 9 sets of like lat pull downs or rows? You normally don't. So I don't know if the times I've asked if these people were frustrated and thought I was rude for asking, but they'll sit there and do 5, 6, 7 more sets. And I thought it was just kind of comical. That's happened almost every time I ask, like how many more sets. So I try not to anymore because I think it's making people stay there longer, meaning I can't, use that piece of equipment. So, again, courtesy, kind of a running theme here. So, here's another one, and this happens every day too, and that's don't stand directly in front of the dumbbell rack. So what you see most of the time with this is people will grab dumbbells and they'll shrug right in front of the mirror in the rack, or they're going to do bicep curls, or the other one's like lateral raises. And so by standing right there, I know it seems very innocent, not like a big deal, but you aren't allowing anyone else to get any weight or any of the dumbbells that are in the even somewhat of a proximity to you, because you're blocking, I would say, at least like 5, 6, 7 pairs of dumbbells, at least, maybe even more. And think about if you're doing like, I don't know, lateral raises, how far your arms go out. No one's going to come in your vicinity to go and get dumbbells. So just something to think about. If you're grabbing dumbbells, take a couple steps back, allow people to pass through. It's everyone's equipment to use, not just one person's. I know people do love to get about 2 inches from the mirror and stare at themselves. I know that's a really fun and popular thing to do. That's one thing I do miss about CrossFit gyms. There's no mirrors, so no one's doing that. I do miss that a little bit. Mirrors are cool as a tool to just kind of check and see what your mechanics are looking like, I guess, when you're lifting. But it does cause people to go right in front of the dumbbell rack and stare at themselves. But yeah, don't stand right in front of the dumbbell rack. All right, moving on. What do we got next here? Do not use a rig. So this could be like a squat structure. Sometimes this is accompanied with a like pull-up structure. So do not use a rig that requires, okay, let me say this again. Unless you're using movements where you need a rig, like back squats, overhead press, stuff like that, don't use it for movements that don't require it. An example would be you go up to a squat rack and you don't squat and you're doing bicep curls. You can do those literally just about anywhere in the gym. So and again, this goes back to, when it's busy, if you're the only one there, I guess it's different. I still personally wouldn't do it. I would move away from it. But anyways, I digress. Do not do these movements that you can literally do anywhere in the gym, especially like at my gym. There's a handful of rigs, which is great. And there's a few spots specifically that have the wooden platforms that are used for Olympic lifters. So to me personally, if you're not going to be Olympic lifting, I wouldn't even be using those platforms. Personally, I would reserve those for the people that are doing Oli, because if you're just doing regular back squats or deadlifts, you don't need to use the wooden platforms. You can use anywhere else. So just something to consider. No bicep curls in the rigs. Ooh, was that all of them? Yeah, that was already all of them. Do you guys have any more that I missed? I'm sure there's some.
So I don't have any gym etiquette. Well, actually, I do. Actually, I take that back. I do have one. I've got one, and then a little qualifier too.
Yeah.
The first thing is trainers. Just going back, I forgot to mention this earlier. Going back to wiping down sweat. If you're a trainer, it's post-COVID, you should be wiping down every piece of equipment that your client uses. Period. That's just what you should be doing, as in my opinion, as a trainer, to keep everybody as safe as possible post. So it's not just sweat, it's trainers cleaning equipment where people are touching stuff as well. The qualifier I wanted to mention is, if you do any of these things, or anybody somebody who's close to you who's doing these things, don't beat yourself up. Don't get all upset that we're saying these things. Don't go and point at your gym partner who's doing all these things and say, hey, you're bad because you're doing these things. Just start to be aware of how you're affecting those around you. And instead of having feelings about it, just correct the behavior. And it's, when we're talking about correcting this behavior, it's not a matter of, oh, you're a bad person because you left your stuff over at the machine for, the perfect example is this person who left their stuff at the machine for 45 minutes to reserve it. Yeah. It's like, okay, I want to punch this person in the neck, like in terms of just like my like anger of like being in the gym. But the reality of it is that probably this person is just, they're just like, they're scared that they're not going to get to do what they like to do. And they probably don't like to do all these other things. They want to make sure they get this one thing done. It's even if there's reasonable in justification, or if you have whatever it is, you have a reason why you do these things, just be aware and try to start being more courteous. This is not us like saying, oh, you're bad if you do one of these things. It's just saying, even though that might sound like that, because we personally have strong emotions about it, but we're also saying, don't use this as an opportunity to go break somebody else down for doing these behaviors. Look at yourself and say, hey, is there a way that I can be more courteous? Am I doing any of these things for whatever reason? And can I be a little bit more, can I help other people achieve the same thing that I'm there to achieve, which is to get a good workout, and with the equipment that's there.
Do you think so go ahead, AJ.
It's just like, I had one more little etiquette thing. It's like, it should kind of go without saying, but it just reminds me of club sport. When we were training over there, because they give you an endless supply of towels and water cups and water and stuff like that. So like, oftentimes, because it was so accessible, that people would just leave their, water cups and towels on the bench or whatever, and just have somebody else clean it up, because they just go get a new one. Yep. Like, that's just, didn't make sense to me. Right. But you just see like a litter of towels all over the place and the water cup here and there. So just, take your stuff with you,
Nice. That's a good one.
I have one quick question before we move on to the Q&A for the day. And do you guys think it's snarky or passive aggressive if, say, someone leaves all their weights out right there, and you immediately go right in front of them, don't say anything or look at them, but you clean up the weight that they left right in front of them? Is that passive aggressive?
Yeah, but it's necessary too sometimes. I mean, you know what I mean? If someone's being enough of a dick, that's passive aggressive as shit. But, it's like, at the same time, it's like, we're not there to be confrontational, especially not in the gym. People get like a little broy in the gym. People get a little, chest poundy sometimes. And it's like, I'm not here to freaking like have a confrontation with you, guy. Like, I'm here to get a workout in. Like, can you help me do that by not being an ass?
So what you're saying is it's justified to be passive aggressive in that.
I think you got to weigh every situation. You know, you might get popped in the chin for being passive aggressive anyway. So like, you know, I don't know. It's you got to weigh out every situation. You know what I mean? It's case by case.
Yeah.
True that. Well, let's wrap the episode up today. We're just doing one topic today, everyone. Well, I guess this would be topic number 2. We're doing one Q&A for the day. And I think this is a great question, especially because, AJ, I know you and I did this when we were beginners. And again, nothing wrong with this whatsoever. But still, I think it's a great topic. And that is, should beginners use a split routine? Now, I want to be a little bit more specific to what I mean by that. A split routine, that's somewhat like interchangeable with saying like a bodybuilding routine or a physique training routine. So this would be, here's an example. So Monday, you do chest. Tuesday, you do back. Wednesday, you do legs. Thursday, you do arms. Rest day Friday. Saturday, you do shoulders. Sunday, rest day. Something like that. So it's essentially one muscle or muscle group, maybe 2 per training session. And the main theme here is you're training each muscle 1 time a week. So that's what I mean when I say split routine. People could take that different ways, but for the purposes of today, split routine, training your muscle or muscle group 1 time a week. Okay, so should beginners do this? So I first want to say, yes, they absolutely can. There's nothing wrong with it. But to me, in my opinion, it's not optimal for a beginner. But Clayton, we talk about this all the time, and especially you say this all the time. The first question you should ask yourself, or if you're a trainer, the first question you should ask your client first is, how many times a week do you want to train? How many times a week are you willing to train? And what are your goals? And then lastly, what do you think you're going to enjoy, or what do you enjoy? So kind of a combination of all those things. Again, I want to be very clear. I never want anything we say on this podcast to be a barrier to you exercising. I want to make that super clear. So if you're someone that's never exercised, or at least, strength training, we'll just say that, and the only way you're going to get in the gym and do that is a split routine, then I want you to do that. That's amazing. Totally. So not at all what any of us are saying here. I know Clayton is huge into not doing that as well, never creating barriers for people that aren't needed. So that's not at all what I'm saying. But what I am saying, generally speaking, if someone is new to strength training, doing full body workouts, utilizing those, and primarily learning compound movements if you're able to. So this is, again, squats, deadlifts, rows, bench press, dips, maybe pull-ups, things of that nature, is going to give you the most bang for your buck. I'm still confident in saying that. I know it's a little cliche to say the whole bang for your buck type of thing, but it's true. It's true. And even if you can just get in the gym once or twice a week and only do those movements, you're still going to make progress. That's the fantastic thing with that. So I'm very confident in saying, I think 90%, this is just a random number here, but hear me out. 90% of people would be just fine and have great results if they only did compound movements. I'm not negating or saying you shouldn't do any single joint movements. I'm not at all saying that, but the general population would do great if they literally just did compound movements. So there's that. And the next thing we have to look at here is if you're someone that's only willing or wants to train like 1 or 2 days a week, that split routine, it's not going to get you so far, because if you say you train Monday and Wednesday, and that's the only days you train during the week. So Monday you're going to do arms, right? Wednesday maybe you'll do chest, and then you have to wait till the next week to do legs, and then for that Wednesday to do back. So you see what I'm saying? Everything is so spread out. So when I say bang for your buck, that's kind of what I mean there. And the really cool thing too about doing these compound movements and possibly training your full body multiple days a week, or even if you split, upper lower body, I think that's a fantastic way to go to for a lot of people. By doing that, say you make it to the gym only 2 times a week and you do full body, you're working every muscle or muscle group 2 times a week right off the bat. To me, that is fantastic. And if I'm not mistaken, guys, please correct me if I'm wrong here. I can't remember the exact number for this, but the recommended guidelines for health and fitness is resistance training. I think it's twice a week. And then like zone 2 or whatever you want to call it, cardiovascular exercise is something like 130 minutes a week. Can't remember the exact numbers. If you guys remember those, please let me know. But 2 days a week, you're getting to work each muscle group 2 times. To me, that's amazing. Also, there's been studies to prove this too. Even if you're someone where the only thing you care about is building muscle, right? That's typically the person that's going to do more of that split routine where you do muscle groups once a week. So it's been shown through studies, which it seems counterintuitive because so many old school bodybuilders would do split routines and work muscles just once a week. But working a muscle at least twice a week or more has been shown to be more optimal as far as muscle hypertrophy, which is gaining muscle. So keep that in mind, even for like, wait, I want to do just a split routine. I want to work my muscles just once a week because I want to grow muscle. You can do that. You can still make great results that way. But with most people, it's not going to be optimal. If you're able to hit muscle groups, if you're able to do at least twice a week, that's the way to go. And it's typically easier, especially if you're someone that's only working out 1, 2, maybe 3 days a week. It's typically better than if you're going to do, these compound movements and possibly work your full body. There's a bunch of ways to go about this. If you're like, okay, if I don't do a bodybuilder routine, what am I supposed to do? There's tons of ways you can do this. So if you work out 3 days a week or less, then again, these are general recommendations. You could absolutely do full body each day if you want. Another option, one day you can do upper body, the next day you can do lower body, and the third day full body. That's another way you can do it. If you start getting into you're crossing the threshold from 3 to maybe 4 days a week, although you can do full body, 4 days a week, that's when I'd feel more confident saying most people would probably do better if they at least split upper and lower body at that point. But again, you could even work your full body 5 days a week if you wanted to. The main thing at that point is managing your intensity and like how much you exert yourself, and then managing how much volume you do. Because if Clayton is doing full body movements 5-6 days a week, he's going to make sure that he's not going to failure on every set, and that he's not killing himself, and that he's not doing 30 sets every single day. So the main point is doing the appropriate volume and intensity for how often you're working out. Now, it's also fair to say if you're someone that's, trained twice a week, you're doing full body, you can exert yourself to a pretty good amount, knowing you have plenty of days to rest. That's also, a huge benefit. So yeah, guys, I'm going to say, unless physique training is the only thing that you're interested in, and even at that point, I still wouldn't necessarily recommend a split routine. Let me change my answer. Unless you very much enjoy a split routine.
Yeah.
Okay. Unless you very much enjoy it, and that's what you love, and that's what you want to do, and you want to work, muscle groups just once a week. Besides that, I don't see a case where it would be optimal. Clay, we'll start with you, Clay, then AJ. I want to hear what you guys think about this as far as who should do split routines, if any, and if that is the optimal way to go for, whatever type of person. Clay, we'll start with you, and then AJ, I want to wrap the episode up with you with your guys' thoughts.
In my opinion, the only time that a beginner should be using split routines is if they have a trainer who has assigned them that. The reason being is pretty much all the things that Jake just said. Those are things that a trainer should and will know how to manage. And with a good trainer, there may be a situation. I'll just give you a real life example where I use it. I've got a couple people that I train only 2 days a week, but I train them back-to-back days. So if you're working with a trainer, or even if you have like a gym buddy who's like much more experienced than you and kind of knows how to use a split appropriately, there is sometimes a use for that, in the sense that, generally speaking, if we want to work out in close temporal proximity to each other, we need to be working muscles that complement each other. Because if I'm working let's just say I'm working my chest to failure, I'm not going to want to do that again 24 hours later, right? Or at least I will be sore enough still and recovering enough to the point that it's not going to really do me much good or as much good to work that chest muscle again. However, it might be something, a split also might be something like, Saturday we do compound and Sunday we do iso. So what that means is, on Saturday we're doing multi-joint movements such as squats and push-ups and pulls. And then on Sunday, we're doing single joint movements such as bicep curls and tricep extensions and quad extensions. However, a split is really a tool to be used to maximize our time spent in the gym. And so if we're using that in any way that is not maximizing our time, then we've lost the whole point of the split to begin with, and you shouldn't be doing it. And working our way backwards, that's the whole reason why a bodybuilder uses it, is because that's how you maximize your short period of time to get as much muscle growth in a short period of time as possible. If that's not your goal, then there's really no purpose. And if that is your goal, there's a bajillion things that you should be learning before practicing splits that are going to be foundational to making use of those splits. Because if you're, it's kind of like a little league pitcher employing a pro league strategy. It's like, it's not that it's without value, but how much value as a little leaguer are you going to get from that grown ass man technique? You know what I mean? And there might be some, but in this particular case, you just have to have a little bit of knowledge about how you're going to work them all together. And a split is a very broken down specific version of that. So, if you're going to use that, make sure that you have the knowledge base to use it appropriately.
I really like that you said, like, maybe one day do compound movements and then the next day do accessory or single joint. That just went out my mind. That's a fantastic idea too. I've never done that personally. I've seen people program that way, like Monday, full or upper body, Wednesday lower body, Friday just accessory or single joint movements or some combination of that. I think is great, but in a way that still isn't a quote unquote old school like bodybuilding split like we're talking about. They're still kind of doing more of the working muscle groups twice a week, even if one of the days is like kind of accessory, like you were saying, Clay. I love that idea. I'm really, really happy that you mentioned that because I completely forgot. Now, AJ, I want to hear what you think about this, because me and you, when we trained together, we did as old school of a bodybuilding split as could be, and we probably didn't work our legs quite enough, or at least I didn't. So I wanted to kick this to you and see what you thought about this, including if your mind has changed about it since me and you used to train as old school as it got today.
My mind hasn't really changed too much on it. Honestly, where I'm at now is I'm doing a 4-day split routine. I think that it's important to reiterate some things that you guys already said. You guys had some really great points about it, and it's like the consistency. So if you're going to find yourself wanting to work out, 4 to 6 times during the week, I think in that case, it might be a little beneficial to split everything up. So you're not doing, just so many exercises every single day, and probably not giving your muscles time to recover properly as well. I think for those who have been off going to the gym regularly and are trying to just get back into the swing of things, I think it might be a good idea to not start out with a split right away and kind of just get yourself back into it. A couple of days of doing, upper body and then lower body, or like you guys said, doing a day of compound lifting and a day of ISOs, as Clayton had mentioned. So yeah, I think it's a good place if you're getting yourself back to the gym to start with the full body, or just a couple days a week, and then gradually working your way into a split routine. I think is a beneficial, good idea for those people.
Absolutely. And I did want to mention one more thing before we sign off today, and this is for me personally. I don't know if you guys experienced this. When I moved away from doing the traditional split routine where you work your muscles once a week to more of, upper body, lower body. That's what I do more now. I've personally noticed I've gotten way stronger doing it this way versus, working a muscle group once a week. Which I know some people that more into bodybuilding, they might not think strength is important, but you can't completely dissociate strength with gaining muscle. There is a threshold that they both cross. You can't necessarily train just one. They both can happen. Yes, you can target one, I guess, but if you get stronger, I'm going to make a bet saying it's going to be a lot easier for you to gain muscle. I'll just leave it at that for today since that's on our topic. But yeah, I love the point you made there, AJ, about getting back into the gym and, starting with maybe full body or any of the ways that you mentioned. Then if you want to do a split, more of the traditional split eventually, then do so. Absolutely. All right, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to the Mission Driven Made podcast today. If you haven't already, subscribe to the show and leave us a review. It's going to be greatly appreciated. If you would like to find us on Instagram, you can find us at Mission Driven Made. You can also find us on Facebook. We have a private online fitness community called The Forum. It's a place you can go to connect with other listeners of the podcast, and it's also a place where you can go to ask us any fitness related questions. We'd love to help you out there. It's also free, if I didn't mention that. All right, everyone, we hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and until next time, stay mission driven.
All right, Twitch listeners, we have a chatter, Slice of Summer, one of our very fan favorite folks here, added to the conversation when we were talking about the road. She said, crazy traffic going into Richmond at the end of the workday and opposite in the morning. They tried to add Smart Train. They tried to add the Smart Train that has been a waste of tax money. So we have another
Smart Train.
Andrew, do you know? I don't know much about the train being smart. I don't even know.
On the bridge, I don't remember that.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but
well, maybe. So what they did is they added a smart train coming from Santa Fe up to Santa Rosa, I believe it is. And so what that does is actually it's blocking getting onto the freeway heading towards the Richmond Bridge.
Oh,
so that's adding more traffic in like right out of downtown Santa Fe. So yeah, that definitely does have an effect there for sure.
Winning. Well, Summer, thank you for your involvement. We appreciate it. For all you other Twitch listeners out there, make sure if you have any questions, you can reach out. You can reach out to us directly over direct message or any of the places Jake just mentioned. Yeah. Until next time, guys.
Record.